Tom.
And you are tuned into the Married Marks podcast, where we talk about the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs, the greatest, and occasionally the worst of professional rap teams from around the globe. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much. We are really happy that you're here, and we hope that you keep coming back for more. But if it's not your first rodeo, you know how this goes. We love you extra, extra hard. Whether it's your first time or your 148th, do us a favor. Like, subscribe, take a second and leave a comment on whatever site or app you are tuned in on. It takes 2 minutes of your day, and it would really help elevate our profile. We would be most appreciative. We are part of the Inside Joke Outside Voice podcast network. You can learn more about them at ijov.net and visit our hashtag Podern Family. Shout out to Genius Pie for the Married Marks podcast theme song. Check them out on Twitter at Genius Pie. And we would love to also hear from you. You can find us on Twitter at Married Marks, or you're welcome to drop us an email. Join in today's conversation, or hell, the conversation from any episode. marriedmarkspod@gmail.com. Use your words, people. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. So we should probably open up this episode by apologizing.
Because we derped real hard.
Yeah, so something went wrong with our Monday episode, and we thought it uploaded. We thought everything was fine, and wasn't there.
Yeah, so sorry, we suck. It's been kind of a hellish few weeks. I'm not gonna really get into a whole lot, but there's family shit going on. We're fine. It has nothing to do with us.
Yeah,
we're
it's
just
holidays
and all sorts of stuff. So we're a little brain farty. I apologize. It will not happen again. We hope y'all had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday if you celebrate it, but if you're not from the States and you're like, hey, I don't understand, we hope you had a great Thursday the 28th, because it just is what it is. So we are here and ready to chit chat. It is we're recording this on Wednesday, December 4th, which is actually our anniversary.
Yes, it is.
So you're getting a Married Marks podcast
Anniversary
episode.
edition.
Yeah, it's such good shit.
17 years.
17 years of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And 20 years of being together.
Yep.
So how have you not murdered me yet?
I'm surprised you haven't killed me yet in my sleep or something.
We haven't killed each other.
Yes.
That counts for something.
This is true.
I think that we've just learned to project our irritations onto other things, and that's why we like watching people beat each other up so much.
Yeah, and if we get mad at each other, we just blame Vince.
Yeah. Oh, that's real smart. When people ask me from now on what the secret to a great marriage is, I'm going to say Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Blame Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of wrestling, what do we got going on this week?
Oh, we got a couple of quick hits.
Okay.
Number one, Johnny Mundo, a.k.a. Johnny Impact, a.k.a. John Morrison, has returned to the WWE.
How many names does he have now?
Well, he had a different one for each promotion. I mean, in Impact, he was Johnny Impact. In Lucha Underground, he was Johnny Mundo. John Morrison in the WWE.
I feel like he's had more than that, too.
Oh, I'm sure he has.
That's hilarious. Yeah, and the big rumor is nobody knows if he's going to go directly to main roster, so to speak. Not that that counts for a whole lot right now. Or if they're going to have him be exclusively NXT talent. I personally think NXT would be a great place for him to be.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of matches I would not mind seeing. I would like to see Finn Balor versus John Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Seth Rollins versus John Morrison. There's quite a few good matches.
He currently has 11 names on his Wikipedia.
Oh my god, what else do we got?
John Hennigan, John Morrison, Johnny Blackcraft, Johnny Blaze, Johnny Impact, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Onyx, Johnny Spade, Johnny Superstar, and Johnny Ultra.
Forgot about Johnny Nitro. Johnny Ultra?
I feel like is each iteration of him kind of like an Iron Man suit? Like they just keep getting weirder and like one little thing that differentiates them from the last. Crazy.
I don't know. But He is, in fact, signed with the WWE. WWE tweeted about it this evening, actually. So
Good for him. If that's where he wants to wind up and that's where he wants to be, as with anybody else, that's great.
He's getting near the end of his career, and
Yeah.
I could see, wanting to finish with the largest company, in the business to, finish out that long career.
It makes sense. And that's something I think a lot of people don't think about when people kind of late in their career sign with the WWE. They might just be doing it for the sake of, some security and being able to do what they like without a whole lot of, pressure. Because unless, I don't know that they're going to push him into like a main program. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know. I have a hard time thinking they're going to. So I don't know. But I mean, if that's where he wants to wind up and that's where he wants to be, more power to him. I think that's great.
So apparently, and I can't get the article to open. For some reason, my phone just does not want to open this article. It doesn't want to tell me the numbers. But apparently last week, AEW had its worst viewership yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, NXT topped them again.
Wowzers.
Mm-hmm. This week, though, they came back strong.
They had a pretty strong
Both
episode
episodes
this week.
were pretty great tonight. So it'll be interesting to see how those numbers pan out.
Mhm.
Mauro Ranallo returned to the announcer's table,
which was refreshing.
for NXT tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Tommaso Ciampa was on the Chasing Glory podcast,
Okay.
Lillian Garcia's podcast. And he proceeded on that podcast to say that he was WWE NXT for life. And he kind of clarified that and said he had spoken with WWE officials and told them that he is not willing to move to Raw or SmackDown. Tommaso Ciampa has said that if he were to get called up, he would retire and become a coach or a backstage personnel. But he will not wrestle on Raw or SmackDown.
So what's interesting about this is, like, one, let's acknowledge the fact that, like, is he playing into a character? Yeah, probably. Like, Ciampa's always kind of been very vocal in this character that he is very much the black and gold brand. Like, that is his thing.
This was not character talk.
Okay.
I had neck surgery and I'm not freaking stupid. I get that my window is smaller than it was and my bump card is ticking. I just look at, like, if I'm doing 200 plus dates a year on the road with Raw or SmackDown, or I'm doing a manageable load of 30 to 50 matches with NXT, I can do 4 years of that in the time that I do 1 year on Raw or SmackDown. So how long can my career and portfolio grow here as opposed to going there?
That's a valid question. And you know what, I take some solace in the fact that he is intelligent enough to look at it and go, yo, I'm kind of on my last stint here. Because he is, like, somebody mentioned at the bar tonight, like, how Ciampa was still kind of up and running. And I was like, he's pretty much, like, held together by sinew and hope.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, he's amazing. Like, he's a great talent, but he's been doing this a really long time, and he has put himself through the ringer.
Yeah, he has. And you know what? I think NXT is at a point now. We definitely have to stop calling it developmental.
We should have stopped calling it developmental a while ago. It has not been their developmental division for a very long time. It is its own brand. It is its own thing. It is managed
It is
its
their
own
number
way.
one brand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. NXT is doing it far better than SmackDown and Raw.
Well, they have been for quite some time. It's just a matter of, I think now the mainstream fans are starting to see it. And they're starting to go, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, it's one of the interesting things is, like, the juxtaposition between NXT and AEW, and that's what's making Wednesday night so great right now, is that, like, NXT is, like, the very best that the WWE can be. Right?
Mm-hmm.
AEW to me kind of feels like the very best of what the indies kind of represent right now. It has that same kind of feel. Like, they can get away with a lot of schmaz shit that that like NXT just can't get away with. You know what I mean? Like if someone came like riding down the ramp at NXT on a skateboard, we'd be like, what the fuck? But on AEW it works for some fucking reason.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that's fair. Like I think they're not developmental. They haven't been developmental in a very long time. And they need to be treated like a serious brand. But Ciampa, like, I think he sees that.
Yeah, and honestly, I would not be surprised if there are more wrestlers in NXT who have the exact same opinion. I could tell you quite a few who probably should not move up because I don't think they will be treated properly. I'm looking at you, Io Shirai. I'm looking at you, Mia Yim.
Yeah, I don't want them to move up, honestly. I think they're right where they kind of are going to shine. Particularly if we're going to have people like just spontaneously showing up on Raw and SmackDown without like being committed to being a part of one of those rosters. You know what I mean? Because we're getting crossover. We're getting, you know, like cross-saturation of the brands to some degree. Like, I think that's fine. I don't know. And I'm sure the internet felt some kind of way about this interview. And people had really strong opinions. But that's because, like, people have really strong opinions about the WWE in general. Like, so I don't know. I legitimately don't know what like, the internet buzz was like on this. I can imagine that it was very heated.
No, probably. But there were other things to be heated about on the internet this past week. Let's start with Sandman.
Oh, God.
So, over the weekend, I think it was Friday night actually, Jordan Grace actually tweeted, "Hey, remember that time the Sandman came up to 4 women about the main event to tell us that women main eventing is quote-unquote wrong and quote-unquote any male wrestler with any sort of experience would agree? Was this in 1998? No, it was tonight, December 2019. When are they going to learn?"
There's was this the instance where there was the clip?
Yes, because Tessa Blanchard responds to this.
Mm-hmm. And Tessa was savage, and I appreciate her savagery in this instance.
But when are... I can't even call them Golden Age wrestlers, because it really wasn't the Golden Age. When are old white guy wrestlers going to learn and take Darren Corbin's advice and shut the fuck up for a minute?
Yeah. This is like the epitome. This is gonna sound terrible, and I know I'm gonna irritate somebody with this, but I don't really give a shit. Like, this is peak okay boomer. Like, just shut the fuck up. Like, because here's my thing, okay? Number one, it is 2019. It's almost 2020. Get with the program and understand that women in this industry deserve everything that the men are being handed. Period. They deserve equal representation. They deserve equal pay. They deserve equal ring time, in my opinion. And they should be treated as serious contenders. I don't care if it's an intergender match. I don't care if it's not an intergender match. They should be treated like serious contenders. Part of this whole, like, backlash that really frustrated the living shit out of me was apparently one of the things that Sandman said was that, like, it's not about the women, it's that I don't trust the audience. Or, like, he saw issue that the audience wouldn't be into it.
Okay.
And
I will play devil's advocate here for just a moment. Audiences these days have been real fucking shitty.
Audiences these days have been real fucking
Especially
shitty.
to the women.
You're not wrong.
That said...
But that kind of vocal... Here's my fucking thing, though. Like, dudes like that saying things of that nature are just... You're, like, emboldening these asshole audience people because you're voicing it. You're voicing it. And this is not just like this is a systemic thing that is part of wrestling culture that needs to change. And the only way that it's going to change is if we straight up normalize in this culture that it's not okay to fucking be that way. It is that simple. It is that simple. And the only reason some of you out there think it's not that fucking simple is because you don't want to take a hard look in the mirror and acknowledge that you're part of the fucking problem. Period. Yeah, it's uncomfortable to look in the mirror and say, wow, I've been a shithead. Yeah, it's uncomfortable to look in the mirror and say, all of this shit that I've been super invested in for so long is wrong. It sucks to acknowledge where you have faults. It sucks to acknowledge where you have fucked up, right? It's uncomfortable, and nobody wants to be uncomfortable. But guess what? As much as you don't want to be uncomfortable, people like me have been uncomfortable going to wrestling shows for fucking ever. I am blessed that we have maybe a handful of people that attend first wrestling shows that are shitheads.
Most of them have been kind of run out on a rail by the rest of us and by Eric Cannon.
And by Eric Cannon, who's called out that bullshit, and other talent who have called out that bullshit.
Yes.
And, like, I am so appreciative of the fact that, like, that promotion works hard to silence that kind of shit, right? I fucking appreciate that. I think some of the creepers come out a little bit more at Palooza, but that's like its own monster, and that's no fault of the promotion. That's just, like, the nature of the beast. But, like, it's so hard because, like, when you start talking about changing this kind of thing, like, for you and I to look at it and go, okay, why is this a problem? Because, like, we have two different problems here. We have a problem with, like, people that work in the industry who think that women shouldn't be main eventing, like Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
Or that, you know, people in the industry, so your bookers, your talent, your people affiliated with promotions, what have you, right? And then you have, like, the fan problem.
The fans who can't get their fucking heads out of the late 90s, early 2000s.
Let's be honest, like, the issues that were a problem then that are creating these problems, they date way fucking back. Like, this is a conversation to have where, like, you have to look at it from multiple perspectives of, like,
oh no, I agree.
Where is the explicit bias on this? Where is the implicit bias on this? Where is, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that are ingrained. Regardless of where they came from, though, like, can you have a deeper discussion on that? Yes, absolutely. But regardless of where that started, you have to look at it and go, this is a culture problem in wrestling. This is a culture issue, and that culture needs to shift. So what do we do to make that culture shift? And, like, you can approach it a few different ways. Like, you can baby step that shit, right? Which to some people is what they think is going to be the proper way to handle it. Or you can, like, look at it and just acknowledge that, like, the only reason this is uncomfortable is because the people that know that they're doing the wrong things or that are the bigger part of the problem here don't want to acknowledge that they're the problem. They don't see that they're behaving in, like, a marginalizing way.
No,
you know what I mean? And, like, this is I could literally spend an entire episode just, like, delving deep into this, and I would love to do this in a future episode. I'm gonna reel myself in a little bit here, but, like, at the end of the day.
Oh, don't tighten those hands on that reel quite yet.
Oh.
Because, you know, speaking of problems in the industry, one of the biggest problems right now, one Brad Shepard.
I really do not want to talk about Brad Shepard. Continue. Like, go ahead. I'm just.
But you don't even know about this, do you?
I don't. I have been blissfully involved and engaged in work for the last, like, week and a half. I've had no time to be on Twitter during the day.
So Brad Shepard had a new article go up on Pro Sports Extra, you know, that blog. Not a news site, a blog.
Guys, can I take a second? There's nothing funnier to me than Richard's fucking disdain for this topic.
Oh.
No, like, it makes me so happy that you just get savage.
Ah.
It really does.
And now, everybody who's listening, Just wait for this reaction.
Oh, God.
Here is the article released today, December 4th, 2019. Brad's Butt Beauties, rating the 5 best women's butts in WWE. We're going to leave this silence in.
Yeah. Hey, Brad Shepard. Go fuck yourself with a piece of splintered Bosselwood, you prick.
Yeah, so, here's the thing. Now, we've talked in the past about how Vince McMahon says that any reaction is a reaction, and therefore he will continue down that same train of thought, especially, when it came to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was getting, mega heel booed, and Vince thought that was the right reaction, or was a good thing that, he was getting a reaction, therefore he's resonating with the fans. Here's what we have to do with Brad Shepard.
Delete him?
We have to block him.
Yeah.
We need to block him. The fact that I saw this article 15 times in my timeline while I was scrolling for 5 minutes, we're sharing it too much. We are giving him exactly what he wants. Attention. And I get what we're doing right now, talking about him, is kind of hypocritical.
Also drawing attention onto it, yes.
But this is really a plea. Block his ass on Twitter.
I also... Continue your thought. I don't want to interrupt you. Because I'm going to rally for a minute.
He needs to not have his followers. You need to not give him extra views by retweeting it, by even clicking. Don't even give him clicks on the article just to read how bad it is. Don't hate read it.
But here's the thing also. Yeah, I agree with you on those points. But it is also completely valid for people to want to voice their concern about it. And I think, especially with us being in our position, because God knows I fucking do this stuff all the time. Let's take the Jim Cornette thing as an example. Right? I realize that there are people out there that probably think I am superbly hypocritical because I rail against Jim Cornette and his shitty stances, right? When it comes to wrestling specific things. Politically, he and I are usually on the same fucking trail, which is kind of funny. But, I appreciate that there is some hypocrisy of me railing against him and complaining that he's this old archaic fucking mouthpiece that does nothing but scream into the void when I get on this podcast and I am a newfangled super liberal queer woman that's screaming into the void. There are times when I recognize that some of us are cut from the same cloth. We have just very different approaches and perspectives, right? And I do I recognize that it's a little hypocritical of me? Yeah, I do. I really do. Are there times that because of that I try to hold myself back? Yes. Do we need to stop sharing stuff like Brad Shepard's articles and all that shit? Yes, I think we should stop. We should stop sharing it. We should stop driving traffic to it, etc. But there is also validity in people using their platforms to draw attention to the fact that his approach is disgusting and toxic and full of what I would argue is peak incel bullshit. And if that word triggered you, you're probably not listening to the right podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not sorry. It's such a hard fucking thing to discuss because I'll be honest with you, I've had him blocked for eons. Every time something comes up with him, I'm like, yeah, whatever. He's a fucking asshole. And I go about my day. I don't share the information. Sometimes I might jump on Twitter and be like, go fuck yourself. And that's it. But I don't tag him. I don't subtweet him. I don't use his name. Most of the time, I will just post a vague insult of some sort and go about my business. And then I'll come home and I'll rant about it. And this is my space to fucking scream. I agree with you to the point that, like, no, we should not be directing more traffic and shit his way. And, like, ideally, would it be great if we all just shut up and stopped talking about him and he just disappeared? Yes, I would love to Mike Wazowski him out of existence.
I mean,
wouldn't it be nice if it all just blew away?
I get the perspective of using our platform to call out this bullshit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's literally what we do.
But he is spewing bullshit now just to get people to talk about
100%. He's literally just doing it because he's like, oh, I have this attention on me. Look at me, 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 look at me. Like, it's all he's doing.
So at this point, I don't know that using the platform to talk about him is actually good for dispelling and calling out the bullshit anymore.
Right. The irony being, it is exactly what we're doing.
I know. I get that entirely.
I'll be real with you, though, on that front. Like, this is probably the last time I will talk about him on this podcast, because, like, I'm just kind of done having discussions about him. I think he's a useless POS. That's just me.
And here's the thing. There are lots of personalities in wrestling that we do not like.
And trust me, in some instances, those feelings are returned back to us. We are well aware.
And that's fine.
It's totally fine.
And that's fine. But we tend not to call out a lot of them unless they are fairly well known. And we
definitely get a little, like, quote unquote vague booky about some of the stuff, because I'm like, there's some instances where it's like, okay, I will call out this one thing, but, like, I'm not going to go dragging someone through that shit. Like, in my opinion, like, if I want to piss fit about Cornette, fuck it. He welcomes that shit at this point.
Yeah, just like, I don't have a problem calling out shitty stances that Meltzer says. You know what? Meltzer put himself out there very publicly.
He did.
So he is just as worthy of being called out on his bullshit as anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, other podcasters who take really shitty takes, we don't tend to call them out.
It also comes down to the fact that, like, and this is where I'm going to sound terrible, and I hope that some of our friends out there that are podcasters don't take this the wrong way, because I'm not talking about you specifically, but, like, there are a billion fucking wrestling podcasts with male-dominated voices, with, like, cis male-dominated voices at the forefront. It is not a new opinion. It is not an interesting opinion to me. Like, to me, I listen to some of those podcasts, but mostly the ones that I listen to are the guys that are willing to, like, bring in different perspectives, right? The ones that are like, hey, I'm not real connected with New Japan. Why don't I talk to an expert from it, or talk to somebody who, like, lives there or has worked there or whatever? Or podcasts that go, hey, we're dudes, like, but we would really love a female perspective on this. Can I reach out and get a female perspective? Or we're straight, I would like a queer perspective on this. Like, those are the podcasts and products that I respect. And when shit like this hits the fan, I would rather, the first thing I do is I go and I look at, like, the podcast. I listen to the podcast and I read the vlogs and I read the articles from people who have, like, the different opinions. And I think more people need to do that. And, like, really expand what they're picking up on. Because, like, there are a billion wrestling podcasts out there. There are a dime a fucking dozen. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that they're bad podcasts. I'm just saying that it's 90% of the time it's the same perspectives. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. And, like, if y'all want to sit there and, you know, have your podcast be like another version of the Cult of Cornette, great. Good for you. I think you're hurting the fucking. You want to know what's killing the business? That's killing the business. Um, but it makes me nuts. Also, like, I'm just gonna say one more thing about this, because this is the other thing I do want to acknowledge. Like, every single person, I don't think there's a single person in the world that doesn't acknowledge that, like, many wrestlers, regardless of gender or gender identity, are very attractive individuals.
What? That's not possible. I don't look at wrestlers in any way other than their pure athleticism.
You're full of shit. Like, here's the thing. We all understand that, like, the thirst is real.
Oh, God, yes.
Right? The thirst is very real. There are many wrestlers that we all enjoy very much looking at them. But there's a difference between appreciating them and, like, creeping about it. Okay? Appreciating them is like cracking jokes about Finn Balor's 8 billion abs, right? Or
the
like
hog.
The hog. Yeah, the hog is a running fucking narrative joke in this house. Let's just be real. Like, we all acknowledge it. Like, but there's a thing. It's like, you can be a fucking grown-up and still acknowledge that you find someone fucking attractive and not, like, be a creepy asshole about it and come home and be like, yo, babe, today I made a fucking article about the top 5 best asses in my office. Like, what the fuck?
By the way, number 1 ass in all of wrestling right now, Sunny Kiss.
Oh, 100%. I don't want to know how many squats that boy does. Shit.
Yeah, I'm just putting that out there.
Like, it's true. He's got an amazing butt. But, like, I don't know. I just want to say, like, let's all be grown-ups for a second and acknowledge that, like, yes, there are many wrestlers that are very attractive. Okay? There are many. They're very cute. They're very attractive. Thirst away. Thirst is fine. It's okay to be a little thirsty. It's not okay to use your fucking platform to be a creeper about your fucking thirst. Oh my God.
There's thirsting, and then there's objectifying.
Mm-hmm.
Know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get up in their DMs. That's being creepy.
Don't tag them and don't publish it. And, like, I also don't want to, because I know one of you fuckers out there is going to tweet at us and you're going to be like, oh, but what about those of them that welcome it? Like, Priscilla Kelly welcomes it, Hell's favorite harlot. Yeah, you know what? That's her fucking call, not yours. It's Jordan Grace's call, not yours. Like, Jordan had a t-shirt for a while that was her, like, looking back over her booty, and it said enhancement talent. And it was fucking marvelous. But, like, that is up to that individual. They're not asking for your objectification. They're celebrating what they're proud of in their body, okay? Like, anybody can go out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, no, flat out. Not asking for it.
Yeah.
You know, this goes down to other aspects, outside of wrestling too. Doesn't matter what a woman is wearing.
Nope.
Not asking for it.
Not asking for it.
It's very simple.
And, like, don't assume that just because, like, a woman is wearing gear that is kind of revealing, like, they might just be celebrating their body. Or here's a real fucking mindfuck for you. Maybe they're not used to celebrating their body. And part of getting through that and part of making sure that they can focus in the ring is putting those aspects of their body on display so that they can empower themselves. That's a huge piece of it for some people.
So, just one last thing about this whole asshole Shepherd article. I do have to hand it to folks like Brian Zane, who, instead of retweeting it, took a screenshot of the article headline and just shared that, instead of directing traffic to the site. Because anybody who wanted to go read that article was going to have to do the extra work. And I do know that a lot of people are just too lazy to do that.
Yep.
I wasn't planning on going to read the article. I could give a rat's ass who's on that list of 5.
Frustrating.
So let's talk about the positives of tonight's show, shall we?
Yeah.
And we're not going to do a full rundown. I mean,
well, let's talk about some highlights, because
I think the biggest highlight goes to AEW.
AEW had it, like, on lock tonight.
AEW, primarily above some great matches, some great putting some more people to the forefront, like Jungle Boy.
Yeah, Jungle Boy was real prominently featured tonight, which was amazing.
The women got some spotlight tonight.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 women's matches.
And a lengthy in-between.
We got, let's see, we got Nyla Rose. We got Leva Bates.
And the Nyla match admittedly was kind of a squash.
We got Chris Statlander. We got Hikaru Shida.
Mm-hmm.
We got Allie, or Bunny now, I guess is what she's calling herself.
Mm-hmm.
But Allie. We had Awesome Kong. We had Brandy Rhodes. We have a newly signed AEW talent. The person they pulled from the audience to swear loyalty to the Nightmare...
The Nightmare Collective.
Nightmare Collective.
Which I still think sounds like an amazing name for a burlesque troupe. Someone get on that.
That was a Chicago wrestler who wrestled with Shimmer and Rise and Shine, who has been signed to AEW.
No shit. Awesome.
Yes. Yeah, we got a lot of focus on the women.
It did feel very women focused this evening, and I was very, very happy with it. I appreciate this. Felt like AEW was finally kicking off a bunch of good shit tonight too. We got some really solid like story building vignettes across the board. Dark Order had a real weird one that was like bordering on some weird like incel story. I don't know what they were doing with that.
It's cult,
it was weird.
It's cult leader stuff.
I mean, it was cult leader stuff, but it was...
They're you know what they're doing? Fight Club.
I guess I could kind of see that.
That's the way I viewed it. It was very Fight Clubby.
Their logo was pretty good too. Their new logo,
yes,
which I hadn't seen. It's very like Miskatonic looking. I was kind of into it. It was a good way to go about it. We had that happen. We had Bunny's new stable kind of establishing themselves. We had a great little vignette with that. We had that whole section with Brandy and Kong in the middle. Like, this was really great. And they opened up with a giant bang tonight. Like the first 20 minutes of the show was just owned by AEW. It was good stuff. Like, it was an enjoyable evening. They had solid story kickoffs. They had solid matches. We had a gentleman that was sitting next to us at the bar who was from SoCal, SCU, who just like wandered into the bar. Yeah, he had no idea that it was a wrestling place.
He was in town because his daughter swims for the University of Minnesota swim team.
There was a competition, yeah.
So he was there for that.
So he flew in and he just like wandered in and he's like, oh, well, there's wrestling playing. That's interesting. And he wound up just sitting at the bar and listening to all of us just, yammer about shit all night, which is kind of great. But even he was like, I don't know who those people were in that last match, but like, that was really fun to watch. Like, that actually felt kind of real at some points. Like, it looked really cool. And I'm like, that's because you were gifted Jonathan Moxley.
So
it was a good night.
So yeah, the fan was Chicago area wrestler Melanie Cruz.
Oh, I've heard of Melanie Cruz. Okay.
It's not a one-off appearance. Melanie Cruz will be on future episodes because they are signed with AEW.
Nice.
Apparently, Melanie Cruz has been wrestling since 2008.
Amazing. Awesome.
Excellent. Another name that not a lot of people know, signed to AEW. AEW actually doing what they wanted to do, which was bring wrestlers in that people don't know.
Yeah. And this, like, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't tonight feel like they were going, okay, we've done this for a few weeks now. We kind of know what we're doing. Now let's get into some meat and potatoes bullshit.
I mean, we had Britt Baker on the show literally for 1 second.
Which was
In a recreation.
Kind of funny.
In a recreation of what NXT did, showing Britt Baker on screen for just a minute, including making the exact same expression that she made during the TakeOver show.
Yeah.
And apparently commentary acknowledged, oh, look, that's Adam Cole's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very tongue-in-cheek and kind of funny. Like, let's just be honest.
It was.
And it was very easy to miss.
It was a subtle shot.
Yeah, but it was funny.
Yes.
And NXT had a really good night, too.
Mm-hmm. NXT had 2 great matches for the women.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had
Dakota Kai.
It was going to be Dakota Kai versus Rhea Ripley, but it ended up being Dakota Kai versus Mia Yim.
Mm-hmm.
We also had, what was the other women's match?
We had Xia Li.
Yeah, Xia Li versus Shayna Baszler.
Mm-hmm. With my girl Val Capone.
Oh yeah,
front and center in that corner. Reppin' Baszler. It was so funny because Baszler came out and I'm like, I know she's there. I have to look and say, oh, there she is. It took 2 seconds. I was like, girl, I see you.
Cassius Ono got some TV time.
Mm-hmm. Kushida got some TV time
Kushida has returned.
Hell yeah. And he wasn't getting yeeted out of the ring by Walter, so
no,
you know.
There is already an awesome GIF circulating of the end of the show where Finn Balor was in the corner and Keith Lee just kind of levitates up behind him with this facial expression.
It was so good.
It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. And both shows were great tonight, honestly. I was just really, really pleased with AEW for a change. Not that, like, I haven't been pleased with what they've done, but there have been a lot of really, like, bold shortcomings I've had every single week, particularly with the lack of 2 matches for the women and not enough involvement, etc. The fact that they took the time to do that tonight, and we got lots of women, we got lots of female representation, we got really fun story building vignettes, we got, like, new stories building off, we got really fun singles matches. We had a tag match that was just outstanding. Like, it felt good. I did miss a little bit of, like, as Angelo would say, the schmozzy stuff at the end. Like, there were no, like, weird schmoz finishes on the last match.
No, that's true.
Which I did miss a little bit, but it was a really solid, like, it felt like, okay, we're not fucking around anymore. Now this is what you can expect. Now we're like, here's our meat, here's our potatoes. Sit down, tuck in, get ready for a delicious meal.
Well, AEW's got their work cut out for them, too, because NXT has said what their next 2 weeks are going to be centered around. Mm-hmm. Next week's episode of NXT, we have Dakota Kai versus Mia Yim. We have the NXT Cruiserweight Champion Lio Rush defending the title against Angel Garza.
The Cruiserweight.
And we have a number 1 contenders match for the NXT Championship between Tommaso Ciampa, Finn Balor, and Keith Lee.
That, like,
Winner of this triple threat is the number 1 contender who will face Adam Cole the following week. So the December 18th show, we have Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship.
Baszler's dropping that belt.
We have Adam Cole defending the NXT title versus whoever wins the triple threat.
I don't think they're gonna drop both belts in the same night, though. Like, that's my thing. If they do, that's shocking and kind of unprecedented.
Yeah, that would be very unprecedented.
But I think one of them will change.
I think it's Shayna.
I think it's Shayna, too. Although Cole has had that belt a long fucking time, but Baszler just beat Asuka's record.
Yeah, Shayna's had it longer.
Yeah, so that would make a lot of sense to me. And honestly, if they don't put that belt on Rhea, I don't know what they're doing.
And also, I mean, AEW now, they only have 2 more episodes this year. They are
Oh,
not
yeah,
doing
that's right. They're
episode
taking time
Christmas
off.
week.
They're taking time off. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
There is no episode of AEW on Christmas. I think they might do some sort of a best of or something, but there will be no live episode on the 25th. But then they begin the new year on January 1st in Jacksonville at that weird half band shell arena.
I hate that place.
That's
it
where
just looks
the first
awkward.
episode of the year is going
No,
to be.
it looks so fucking awkward. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it.
Can we also talk about... Yeah, I know we've touched on it. So this ramp right to the top of the ring is a permanent thing, apparently.
Yeah. How's Sammy Guevara gonna ride that skateboard down?
Not Sammy Guevara.
Not Sammy Guevara, sorry.
Darby
Darby Allin. How's Darby Allin gonna ride a skateboard all the way down if you don't have a nice, neat ramp for him to ride it down to the ring? That's why.
Well, no.
I don't...
I don't know how I feel about it being...
Everybody's so into it. Like the hardcore folks that we know, everybody
I don't
fucking
know that
loves
I
it.
am.
It's just aesthetically different. That's all. It's just aesthetically different. I'm
It
not
is.
used to it. I'm not used to it. It's like I don't know. Like sometimes I think I'm okay with it. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't like it. Very like I feel like the TikTok meme where she's like drinking kombucha and she's like she sips it and then she's like, no.
Well,
like that's
maybe.
literally
No.
that's me. I'm that girl with
then
the
again...
kombucha. Well, yeah, like that.
Yeah.
That's me. That's me with the fucking ring ramp. Sometimes I'm fine with it. Sometimes I hate it more than anything on their show. Like the only thing I hate more is why the fuck is Cody Rhodes still getting special entrance and nobody else is?
Seriously.
Stop. Cody, we get it. We get it. You're important. Also, you're like weird fucking humble brag bullshit you were
I
doing
was
tonight.
gonna say...
Oh my god.
Just a
Oh,
little
and
bit
then
of a humble brag.
My watch and like
My-
and these Louboutin shoes and my briefcase full of
$50,000.
$50,000. Although like, shout out to that kid, that dapper little kid in the front row who got that hundo.
Yeah, now we had the money.
You best be
On top of the
bringing,
looks.
boy. You best be bringing all of your kindergarten class some fucking cupcakes tomorrow. That's all I'm saying. Like you best show up with like, and not just like shitty cupcakes. Like you go to Nadio Cupcakes and you get like those good cupcakes. You get the gourmet cupcakes.
No Walmart cupcakes.
No Walmart. Fuck. How many Try Guys episodes have we watched? Walmart is good for nothing. The only thing Walmart is good for is for me to occasionally go buy Harry Potter swag. That's it. Oh,
yeah,
my
but
God.
seriously, stop making such a big deal out of Cody.
It's so stupid.
Please.
I'm just not into it. I'm not into it.
I mean,
I'm
I
super
get
not into
that
it.
they're trying to build this match between him and MJF,
No, he's
which is the program that they had been working towards all along.
but he's so douchey that like even now his wife is like, babe, I'm gonna go do something else. Baby, I love you. I'm gonna go do a thing. You do you, I guess. It's just it's so douchey.
So
It's
yeah,
so
both
douchey.
shows though definitely high B low A's.
Yeah, I think that's safe.
I would say they were both exemplary shows.
Uh-huh.
I think it'll be interesting to see the ratings.
Goku agrees, apparently.
So I think next week we will return to having questions. We've kind of taken a few weeks off from asking questions.
We have. And, like, a part of that, I think, was we've been trying to figure out... It was before we tried to figure out, like, what we were going to do
Yeah.
with the podcast. And now we know, at the end of the year, we're going to go back to one episode a week.
Yes.
Just because it's easier for us to deliver good quality and keep things
Yeah.
real tight that way, so...
I do kind of have two things for you to look out for, though. Number one, you still need to be following this Dana Brooke, Dave Batista stuff. Because it's still going.
Delightful.
Dana Brooke has confirmed that she is going on a date with Dave
With
Batista.
Dave Batista? Oh my god.
And she is even open to having it filmed.
Oh my god, Dana. Do not TikTok live your fucking date, girl.
Oh no, this is going to end up being some sort of a WWE network special.
It would be hilarious.
And number 2. You've heard us talk about them before. Those good McElroy brothers.
Oh, we love the good McElroy bros. They're just, like Griffin, he's just a good boy.
And he's a wrestling
He's kind
fan.
of a rowdy boy, a dirty boy, just a greasy boy. Just a real dirty, greasy boy.
Well, you will want to go to YouTube, for there is a new Monster Factory.
I haven't watched it, but I saw the video.
2K20 is the subject of the new Monster Factory.
Okay, wait. For those of you who are uninitiated, let us explain what Monster Factory is to you very briefly, and who the McElroys may be. Because if you're not familiar with the McElroy podcast empire, you really should be, because it's wholesome as fuck, all right? There's...
I mean, My Brother and Me is probably the most well-known of their podcasts.
Yeah, which is exactly what it sounds. It's an advice podcast for the modern era, featuring all 3 of the McElroy brothers, Justin, Travis, and Griffin. Griffin is one of the individuals responsible for the creation of Polygon.com, as is Justin, if I remember correctly. They're no longer in that position. They're kind of like owning their own...
Nope, they have left Polygon
Yeah.
and they are just doing their own thing now.
But these are the guys that are also responsible for the Adventure Zone, which, if you're familiar with Critical Role, it's another Dungeons and Dragons podcast. But Adventure Zone has a very different flavor to it than Crit Roll does. Don't get me wrong, kind of finally getting into Crit Roll. Love me some Matt Mercer. Like, got a real good DM style, but I do prefer Griffin's. Just saying. But Justin and Griffin used to do this series on Polygon called Monster Factory. And they take games with character creation elements and they literally just try to break the fuck out of the game.
Yeah, so they will regularly just slide all the sliders either all the way up or all the way down, or a combination of all up and half up, half down.
Or like, hey, can we get these eyeballs to like phase through the back of the skull because shit's broken?
To create some very horrific looking characters.
And some amazing characters, because Pam was life. Don't hate on Pam.
Hey.
She'll find you in your sleep and kill you.
But they have done multiple versions of WWE wrestling games.
The Pebble is still my favorite.
Christopher.
You gotta say it right. Christopher. Just go look it up. It's on YouTube.
Monster Factory.
Fucking delightful.
It's on the McElroy family YouTube channel.
And like, seriously, they have no idea who the fuck we are. We just really love McElroy content. It's good stuff. Go check them out. Like, subscribe. Just follow all the shit. Also, Sawbones is arguably my other favorite thing that they do, because it's real good. But yeah, Monster Factory did 2K20. Go check it out. I will probably put that on when we go to bed and laugh my ass off, because it's always funny.
So we will call this an episode then.
Yeah, I will do one more thing. Real quick. I'm going to give one more shout out to our friends at First Wrestling.
Oh, yes.
Who deserve a little bit of credit this week. They have finally announced, and you can follow this wonderful individual on Twitter, that Tam Bigelow herself has joined the First Wrestling family. She is doing all sorts of behind-the-scenes First Wrestling coverage and shenanigans. She joined them at their Saturday show at the Uptown VFW this past Saturday.
I believe anybody who watched the show on Fight TV got to see her do backstage interview with Darren Corbin for sure. I saw some video of that.
So, make sure you give them a follow and also, like, just share the living shit out of this, because, like, I always rally that promotions need more diverse representation, and I think it's great. I think that's absolutely what needs to happen. So, love it. Ooh, someone just tagged me in a really intriguing Twitter thing, so I might talk about this on Sunday, because this is a long conversation.
Oh? Can we get a teaser?
You can get a teaser. Somebody shared a tweet with me from someone that said, "Theory: the women of wrestling are killing it today more than the men because of misogyny. They had to..." Wow. I'm going to hold on that, and we're going to discuss this on Monday's podcast, because
Okay.
I just read the rest of this, and I have many opinions, but we are at a nice, tight, even, concise, near hour of this podcast, and I do not want to let us run over. So we'll talk about this.
Well, in that case, for the Mary Marks, I'm Richard Townsend.
I'm Shannon Townsend.
And